tell everyone about when you came fifth at the Olympia.
I don't want to tell everyone. I want to tell a few people.
No, it's everyone.
Yes.
The time you finished fifth, but later on you finished sixth.
How'd that happen? But we didn't know how it happened. I remember that was my first Olympia. My mother came over from Australia to watch it. I was in Long Beach, California.
What year?
1997. Paul Dillette was fourth, I was fifth, and Kevin Leverone was sixth. We got our awards, our checks, and then we went off stage. Backstage, Kevin Leverone was crying, like actually crying to Jim Mannion, and we're just like, oh, what's he crying about? You know, he didn't look that great. We go back to the hotel, have a shower, get dressed up. We're hopping on the bus to go to the Queen Mary for the banquet. People are like, sorry about your placing, Lee. I'm like, why? I said, I got fifth in my first Olympia. They're like, oh, haven't you heard? You got sixth. So when the show was over, I got moved from fifth down to sixth. Paul went from fourth to fifth, and Kevin went from sixth up to fourth. So I remember on the Queen Mary that Paul was upset and had Wayne DeMillia by the neck up against the wall and this sort of stuff, because I think he lost 15,000 transaction going from fourth down to fifth and stuff. So, but yeah, when we got our checks, like I said, they give you a fake check on stage, but when we got our actual check, I got the sixth place money in that, but I still got the plaque for fifth place at home, so I never gave the plaque back. I kept that.
And what was the reason
They never
given?
gave one. I said they just made a mistake.
What
was it?
And was
That's the IFBB. They don't have to give a reason. They just made a mistake. Somehow they made a mistake that they could hand out. You know, it's not like a little mistake. You know, saying okay, you know, we missed up on one placing. You know, you're moving Kevin from sixth back up to fourth. But like I said, he was crying backstage, so I guess he must have got a sympathy vote there, and they went and did something. But who knows?
But
they changed it after the show. So.
And what's the procedure? Don't they have judging cards? Would have they been?
Who knows? Yeah, they do have judging sheets, but you know, they don't mean anything. That's like fucking any type of voting. It doesn't mean shit. They can write it down, they change it. They can, even here in Australia, here all the time, that some judge will have somebody first, and when it gets read out, that person will be second or third, so it doesn't matter. So like I said, normally if there is a mistake, most shows if there's a mistake, they fix it right there if someone's been given the wrong placing. But like I said, we got our placings, the show was over, gone, we're going on to the banquet when the house got changed.
So this is the Super Bowl of bodybuilding.
The Super Bowl, yeah, the fucking toilet bowl.
And on the biggest day of the year of bodybuilding.
I just got asked a question the other day about the Night of Champions. That I think it's for the Muscle Sport magazine that I write for. They're asking about the Night of Champions. Bob's saying the New York Pro show is much better show. I'm like, what a load of bullshit. Yeah, remember the Night of Champions back in the day where you know over 40 competitors at the Beacon Theatre. I mean, it wasn't the greatest theatre, but it was a really nice theatre inside, you know, and a lot of history to it. You'd have 40 guys on stage, 45 guys. You'd have NASA, Kevin Leverone, Jay Cutler, myself, Paul Dillette, Orville Burke. All the big names used to do the Night of Champions. Porter Cottrell, Milos, like. It used to be like, you know, apart from the Arnold Classic and the Olympia, the Night of Champions was the next big show. And Bob's trying to say how the New York Pro is just as same. I'm like, what a load of bullshit. You saw where the New York Pro was this year. It's like in a little fucking school auditorium, but auditorium of a fucking Best Western fucking motor in. A fucking little curtain hanging up with New York Pro fucking projected onto it. The guys are almost touching the fucking ceiling on the little shitty stage. So how Bob Scrye can say that is fucking beyond me, but we know. I'm always amazed that he can fucking say it with a fucking IFBB cock in his mouth, so it doesn't come out gargled. Yeah, but hey, you can't compare the New York Pro to the fucking Night of Champions. That's just a fucking joke. Well, mate, just look at the pictures from the New York Pro, the staging and shit and whatever, and the venues and the competitor list. And look at the competitor list when fucking Wayne used to run the show, and you tell me which fucking show was better.
Well, you've always been saying that bodybuilding should return to the glory days. Maybe they might be heading to that
I think they're going to the fucking glory hole right now.
No, I mean, you remember in Pumping Iron, that show they had where the amateur show at the start in like that little hall.
Like a service tent.
Yeah.
That's where it's going. Have you seen the venue of the last New York Pro Show? Have a look at the pictures online. You tell me, it's like fucking hell.
But
I think they were waiting for people to get out so they could fucking open up the buffet bar in the fucking kitchen.
But back to this this placing debacle.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, you know, you get the old Lee's bitter and whatever, and
Yeah.
you know he's outspoken just to be a prick and things like that. A lot of people probably that make these comments aren't aware of these sort of incidents, and you know, as I said, the Super Bowl of bodybuilding or the Olympics
Shouldn't have mistakes like that.
Well-
You can go back to even 1990 when I did the World Championship. You know, I did in '89 and got 4th in Malaysia as a lightweight. I was going back the following year. That's when I went to Moscow for it on Katowice. Real shitty whole place, by the way. It looked like a city from Schindler's List. Fucking very depressing. On the Thursday, before we leave, I had a test from the Australian Institute of Sport, negative, because I wasn't taking anything because I was a fucking lightweight. It's like, there's no way I could take gear, so I dieted down again, just to under 70 kilos or 75 kilos. I think it's under 70. I go over there to do it. We have the drug tests. I think it was on the Thursday or the Friday, but then the next day the World Congress has their World Congress meeting where all the teams get together. And at this meeting, that's where they're told, listen, you know, your team member is disqualified, he can't compete tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. We're all fine, I go compete. I do the pre-judging. After pre-judging, everyone's like, oh, Lee, you know, our judges have you first. You're going to win it this year, you're going to win it this year. And I'm like, well, that's nice to hear, but until I get the trophy, I'm not really going to get all excited. Go to do the night show, just about to go to do my night show routine. I get a fucking call over like this, you've been disqualified. So they reckon that my tests come up dirty, which I'm thinking, well, that can't happen, you know, because I didn't take anything. So I just went back to the hotel, got dressed, came back, and all the other teams couldn't believe it. Then they gave me, I got so many tracksuits from different teams because they were so pissed off. But remember Bob Goldman, the fucking American doctor, this smirky grin on his face, like, and Jose Guzman ended up winning it, the American guy, because he was retiring that year. So Merry fucking Christmas to Jose Guzman, because there was no way. I've actually got it on VHS, but I'm going to transfer it to DVD, and when I do, I'll send it to you. When you see the pictures of me standing beside Jose Guzman and the other people, there's no way you could put me second, third or fourth. That's not me tooting my trumpet saying that, you know, I was the best, but on that day I was. And if you see me beside these other guys, it's almost looking like a pro standing with amateurs. So I guess the only way to get rid of me was, you know, say I'm disqualified. So when we come back home, I wanted to get tested again because my mum rang up the Institute of Sport and told them what happened, that, you know, Lee went over to compete. They said he's positive, and they're like, well, that can't be possible, we can test him again if you want. My mum was going to pay, I think it was like $300 something to do the test again, but because I was a member of the IFBB, they had to give their permission, and Paul Graham said, no, don't test him again. And then also when they tested my A sample, which they said was dirty, you know, they've always got to test the B sample. My B sample went missing, so. So if we want to talk about shit and them screwing me from day one, that's back in '89 when I was 18, 19 years old. So stick that up your ass, Dr. Bob Goldman, the IFBB doctor. So yeah, we can go back to there if you want. So yes, the B sample went missing, and the IFBB said don't test me again back here in Australia. But I had my letter a week before I left to go saying I was negative on the drug test.
And for overseas people, could you, like the Institute of Sport is...
yeah, one of the highest, best drug testing facilities in the world here in Australia. So.
Yeah, that's where all our Olympic athletes get tested, and...
Yep, I was clean, but a week later when the American did the test, and everyone was told that team members were disqualified. I wasn't. I actually went on to compete, and then that night, before I was to go on for the finals, I got pulled to the side and told I wasn't allowed. I was disqualified that night in the show. So there you go. I remember that smirk look on Dr. Bob Goldman's face. So yeah, and then my B sample disappeared, and the IFBB in Australia, the Grahams said that Institute of Sport, they weren't allowed to test me again. And normally when you do get tested and come up positive, you do get suspended, and that I was never suspended. So That's another one. There's one time I was suspended. So.
And where would have the IFBB done their testing?
Over it there.
Yeah.
Down the fucking toilet. You know, they wouldn't have tested anyone because they wouldn't have paid for it. Their testing is, oh, he looks like he can beat our guy, he's disqualified. Oh, he looks pretty good, he can beat our guy, he's disqualified. So never the Americans or anyone like that get disqualified. It's always the guys that look really good who can beat the Americans. So, like I said, Jose Guzman, that was his last show. He'd been competing for years and years. He was like their little American hero. He was retiring after that, and so I guess he ended up winning. And they got disqualified.
Yeah, so we're not talking about little minor.
That's going back when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Like I said, I couldn't care less. Even when I was competing with the IFBB, I always did well. You know, considering I was outspoken and told the truth and had my say in that, I was always happy with my placing. So, you know, for me to get second or third, to me that was like a win because I knew that it was my hard effort that got me there. Okay, some people said I should have won shows, but me getting second or third, being who I was still happy to get that because, like I said, I could be myself and didn't have to kiss ass to get it. Whereas these other guys who some look like shit, they'd win shows just because of who they know or they kiss someone's ass. To me, that's not a win, that's just a fucking empty win. So I'd rather win a show or get placed good on my merits. So I was happy to do what I did, being who I was. So
yeah, but
being myself.
Well, it's not being yourself. I guess it's you're taking a stand against an organisation where you know you fail drug test, but they lose the B sample. They get the placings wrong at the biggest bodybuilding event of the biggest, and worse, they never gave you a justification for the mistake.
No, it's never mentioned. So, but like I said, I got the fifth place plaque at home. So. It's like a little silver fruit platter, actually. So
oh, okay.
It says fifth place, Mr. Olympia on it. Next time I'm digging around, I'll take a photo and send it to you.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. And also, too, I believe you have the drug test from...
Yeah, I got the paper stating that I was drug-free before I went overseas. And like I said, I'll get those videos. I'm actually going to get them all transferred on the DVD. So when I get them transferred to DVD, you might be able to get a bit of a snippet for them, for the fans. And put it online so they can see Jose Guzman, who just blew me away.
And you
that was my last show. Actually, I did clean because after that is when I did come back, and I was thinking, you know, I should have won that. Then I would have got my pro card, and then like I said, that's when I actually trained for almost 6 more months. And then I was 19. I did take gear. Actually, that's when I took Decker and put on 20 pounds. Like I said, if I was taking gear, I wouldn't have been a fucking lightweight anymore because the second I took it, I put on 20 pounds in 8 weeks. So.
And you see Jose around much these days, or?
Jose Guzman, I never saw him after that, so I don't know what he's doing if he's still around these days. So. They said he retired after that show and that was it.
And did you have any more dealings with old Bob Goldman?
I'd see him at shows, so after that I never saw him for a couple of years until I started competing in the pros, and then I'd see him and I still remember that smug, smiling face. So. Still got it today, I think. He's still walking around with his fucking 80s porn mustache and fucking curly sort of Ronald McDonald fucking weak-looking hairdo. So. Yep.
Hi, Bob, if you're watching.
I remember that to this very day, and it's actually been in my book too. So.
Yeah.